How's it going, everyone? Anthony here from MTG Alpha, and we have here a Christmas themed deck, Svella Ice Shaper. This deck is a Christmas themed deck. It's all snow permanents, snow covered basics, snow lands, snow creatures. The main theme is snow synergy with elves, and there's a bit of chaos in there. So we have a sort of like Krampus here with Svella. Svella is a 3-cost 2/4. You can pay 3, tap it, and create a colorless snow artifact token named Icy Manolith that taps and adds 1 mana of any color. You can pay 6, a red, and a green to tap it, and look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may cast a spell from among them without paying its cost. The rest go on the bottom of your library in a random order. So we have Galadriel, Gift Giver, and Elf Noble. So we have this to sort of like help with the elf theme. So Svella is like the sort of troll Krampus character, and this deck has just, like I said, great synergy with snow permanents, and with that we kind of have a little bit of like stalling or control, and there's just lots of elves and just a little bit of gift giving and taken away. So there's that like chaos element to it. The deck does really well with producing mana, and so there's some synergies with that as well. So Galadriel is just kind of fitting with the elf theme. 4/4, whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you get to put a 1/1 counter on target creature, create a food token, or create a treasure token. And we could put the 1/1 counter on a creature. The treasure token will fit in with us producing lots of mana. So I broke the deck down into a few different categories to help with this video go by quicker. So here we have the sort of ramp here with the Findhorn Elves, Boreal Druid, and Sculptor of Winter. So each either produces some sort of mana, but we could tap it to untap something and by proxy produce some more mana. Rime Tender can untap a snow permanent, another snow permanent. So that could actually be our commander. We can untap our commander to tap it again and, produce more of these snow artifact tokens. Or maybe we have enough mana we could dump into looking at the top 4 and playing a card with its second ability. So that's what I tend to do with Rime Tender. Same with Elder Druid. You can pay 4 to tap it to tap or untap an artifact, creature, or land. So you could use it offensively, but it also helps to just untap our commander. It is kind of like a lot of mana to do it, but we do produce a lot in here. And so we have Into the North. Search your library for a snow land card and put it into play tapped, then shuffle. I really like that for ramping this deck. Findhorn Elder, it taps for 2. Llanowar Tribe. Glittering Frost, you enchant a land, it becomes a snow land, and then whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, you add an additional 1. Centaur Omen Reader, I like the idea of this card, but it doesn't always work. But as long as it's tapped, creature spells you play cost 2 less to play. Spirit of the Elder Guard is one of the top cards in the deck. Costs 4 to play. It's a 0/4. ETB, search your library for a snow land, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle. It also gets +1 for each other snow permanent you control. So in the typical game, this card is about 15 to 25 power. So pretty good. Alpine Guide. ETB, search your library for a mountain, put on the battlefield, tap. When it attacks each combat if able, but when it leaves, you have to sacrifice a mountain. But I still like to see this early game. Cold Steel Heart, and these are mostly snow permanents here. Replicating Ring. And then we have Kibu. So I like this in here. A little bit of the chaos. You tap it, each player creates a colorless artifact token named Banana. Tap, sack the artifact to add red or green and gain 2 life. This synergizes well in our deck. Whenever an artifact an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you get to put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. That's an ape or monkey. This might be the only one in here that's ape or monkey. And then whenever it attacks defending player, sacrifice an artifact. So kind of an interesting card. But this deck does have a little bit of that chaos gift giving sort of thing. So we're going to tap it to give that gift to our opponents. And what I really enjoyed playing with this deck is watching how the deck plays as I draw cards, my opening hand, all those things. I get to see, you know, how the opponent is being rewarded or punished. It's kind of fun to get into that. So I had one game where it was just a lot of, hey, here's lots of tokens, and giving tokens to my opponent. And then I had another game where they were just getting completely punished with like some of these like bigger creatures that were synergizing with these snow permanents, and then just, you know, swinging for something crazy like 100 with trample, which we'll get to that. Scrying sheets, we get to pay 2. Look at the top card of your library. If that card is snow, you may reveal it, put it into your hand. So that's good card advantage there. Arkham's Astrolabe, ETB, draw a card, taps. And then we have Avarice Amulet. Equipped creatures +2 vigilance, and at the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card. Now when the equipped creature dies, target opponent gains control of the amulet, and it costs 2 to equip. So again, that kind of like gift giving type of theme. Glacial Revelation, amazing card. Reveal the top 6 cards of your library. You may put any number of snow permanent cards from among them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. It's going to be like 90% of the cards. Or in Viper, for more card draw, whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, destroy a creature out of combat, so sort of death touch. But when it deals damage to a player, you may draw a card. Similar to Owen Frostfang, but it only works on itself. Blessing of the Frost, distribute X 1/1 counters among any number of creatures you control, where X is the amount of snow spent to cast this spell. Then draw a card for each creature you control with 4 or greater. So pretty insane card draw later. And basically you're going to be able to distribute 4 1/1 counters among any number of creatures. Pretty good card. Or in Frostfang, attacking creatures you control have death touch, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Not hard to do as we get into the tokens in this deck. Humble Defector, tap to draw 2 cards, target opponent gains control of it. And this is more of the gift giving sort of chaos theme there. Wild Evocation, costs 6. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player reveals a card at random from their hand. If it's a land, they put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, the player casts it without paying its mana cost. More chaos, gift-giving stuff. Daryl, Hunter of Walkers. Beginning of your upkeep, target opponent creates 3 Walker tokens. Tap, deal 2 damage to target creature. And whenever a zombie an opponent controls dies, draw a card. So I put this in here as more of like the card advantage, just dumping things from our hand. And then here's ways we could draw cards. For removal, we have Frostbite. Deal 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If you control 3 or more snow permanents, deal 3 instead. Add instant speed. Wild Magic Surge, 2 instant speed, destroy target permanent. They reveal cards from the top of their library until they reveal a permanent card that shares a card type with it. They put that on the battlefield. So a little bit of like this like reward, again, gift-giving theme. Tundra Fuma Roll. Deal 4 damage to target creature. You get to add colorless for each snow spent to cast this. So you can get 3 colorless back after spending 1 and 2 red. And you don't lose it as steps and phases. And Stalking Yeti comes into play, and then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature. So it fights target creature and opponent controls, and its power is going to be 3 typically. Blizzard Brawl, pay 1, choose target creature you control, and target creature you don't control. If you control 3 or more snow permanents, the creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains indestructible 10 of turn, and then they fight each other for 1. So Beast Within, of course. Snowblind, kind of interesting card. I playing it, I should play it more, is what I realized. It doesn't seem like something that is worth playing in the moment. It seems like there's better things to play, but then I end up regret not playing it. It costs 3 and a green. The equipped creature gets -X/-X when it's attacking, where X is equal to the number of snow-covered lands the defending player controls. So we put this on an opponent's creature, and then it'll get, you know, minus whatever. It can't be reduced to less than 1, so it just can. It'll only be at best it would be like a 1 toughness. It doesn't actually like kill it, but it definitely helps deal with certain threats. And then at other times, X is equal to the number of snow-covered lands its controller controls, which typically is going to be 0. Forbidden Orchard. So these are going to be part of the tokens. We're going to tap to add 1 mana of any color, and then when we do that, we're going to give target opponent a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token for being nice. Genesis Chamber. When a non-token enters the battlefield, if it's untapped, the creature's controller creates a 1/1 colorless mirror. Life of the Party. First strike, trample, and haste. It's a 0/1. Whenever it attacks, it gets +X/+O until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control, which is a lot. The last game I played, I had about 26 elves, and I had a couple other tokens, so it was somewhere around like 35 creatures. So it would be a 35 with 1 toughness, but it would have first strike and trample. When it enters the battlefield, if it's not a token, each opponent creates a token that's a copy of it, and the tokens are goaded for the rest of the game, so they attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able. So more gift giving. Life of the Party, fun all around. Thermopod synergizes with all the tokens we'll be creating, because you can sacrifice a creature to add 1 red to your mana pool. It is a snow creature as well, so we have that snow synergy. We can give it haste for paying 1 snow covered, and yeah, just adding a bunch of mana. This deck does really well with producing mana there, and because of that, there's a few X spells that we could just use to dump into this. Now, Confusion in the ranks. Whenever an artifact, creature, or enchantment comes into play, its controller chooses target permanent another player controls that shares a type with it and exchange control of those permanents. So what's really fun about that is that we're going to be producing our tokens. Even if we get our little 1/1s, we can just exchange it with something else. Just complete chaos. Super fun in 4-player games. Essence Warden to gain life from all the tokens entering the battlefield under our control and our opponent's control. So we can turn up, if we can get this out, because this is the only card that'll trigger that. We could end up with a lot of life. Waiting in the Weeds. For each untapped forest he or she controls, each player puts a cat token into play under their control. So they're 1/1 green creature cat tokens. So only for 3. We can get some kitty cats out there. These are the Hollows. Cost 4, 3/4. When it's put in the graveyard from play, each player may pay any amount of mana to put that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens under play. Galadrim Ambush. 4 instant speed. Create X 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens where X is the number of attacking creatures, and then prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by non-elf creatures. This card's a little tricky to play against. When I was playing and my opponent was being careful and only attacking with like 1 or 2 creatures, it never really seemed worth playing this, especially when that creature was given like protection or trample or flying or something like that. So I didn't have any luck with this card in the games that I played, but of course in multiplayer there's more opportunity that this would be really great. And for 4, who knows how many green elves that we can get. We can get Santa's little elves out there to prevent some damage, and then we could trade our elves for better creatures that our opponents control. Primal Vigor, doubling season, but it helps all players out because we're in that gift-giving spirit. Parallel Evolution, double the amount of tokens that are in play. This affects all players, so you pay 5 for each token in play. Its controller puts a creature token into play that's a copy of it, and it also has Flashback for 7, which is nice. Dual Nature costs 6. It's an enchantment. Whenever a creature comes into play, its controller puts a creature token into play that's a copy of that creature. Sylvan Offering is our mana dumper. Pay X and a green. Choose an opponent. You and that player each create an XX green tree folk creature token. So we get one big boy. And then we both get that many 1/1 green elf warriors. And then finally, we have a little bit more just kind of miscellaneous synergy here. Ice Flow. You may choose not to untap it during your untap phase. You can tap it to tap target creature without flying that's attacking you. And as long as it's tapped, that creature does not untap. And it doesn't take it out of combat, so you still have to deal with the damage. But if you see a threat that you don't want to get hit by more than once, it's a really nice card to kind of sit over to tap when you want. And it, you know, help like slow your opponents down. We also have Glacial Crevices. Pay 0, sacrifice a snow-covered mountain. No creatures deal damage in combat this turn. And we have plenty of ways to generate mana, so we can afford to sacrifice our mountains. Goblin Snowman. When it's blocking, it neither deals nor receives damage in combat. So it's a nice like little wall. And you can tap it when it blocks to deal 1 damage to the creature that it's blocking. And it's a Goblin Snowman with our little elves and our happy little snowman. Rhymeskill Dragon. This card's pretty cool. As far as I know, this is... I don't know how many cards have like ice counters. In my game, I have... In Legions of Will, I have ice counters in the game. And I wasn't aware of that even being a Magic thing until I saw this card. So I don't know if there's more cards like this. But it's really cool. You can pay 3, tap target creature, and put an ice counter on it. Creatures with ice counters on them don't untap during their controller's untap steps, like at all. So that's pretty nuts. I don't know how you ever get rid of it. This is the best card in the deck. So Conifer Worm. I've won so many games with this. 4 colorless, a green, and it's a 4/4. It has trample. You can pay 3 and a green any number of times, and then it gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of snow permanents you control. And like I said, in your average game, snow permanents are going to be roughly 20. That's including lands, the icy tokens you're creating with your commander, and then whatever else. Most of the permanents here are snow permanents. So this just gets 20 or 25 every time you pay 4. And we have so much mana that we could dump into this and then have this get like 150. You know, we could pay for, you know, 5 times whatever. And yeah, just give this like a ton. And it has trample. So yeah, really easy to win the game with this. So this is the MVP of the deck. That is the Svella Christmas Krampus Chaos whatever elf synergy token fun chaos deck. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll have the full deck list in the description. There's still 50 more cards in this deck you can check out. It's very, very cheap, easy to build, easy to play, a lot of fun to play against too. It's not hyper aggressive, and actually does pretty well against better decks, more expensive decks. So let me know what you guys think about this deck. And yeah, till next time. Peace.